Fairy tales often invite each other to search for honey. Once upon a time, there were two idiots named Knock and Big who lived in a certain area. Both are unmatched idiots. However, Big still thinks that he is much smarter than stupid. One day, when they heard people telling each other that by looking for honey, they could both eat it and sell it for money, so the two of them immediately invited each other to try going on a trip to see what it was like. But both of them forgot to ask which direction they should go to find the honeycomb. After thinking about it for a long time, Big proved to be very knowledgeable and said to Go, As far as I know, honey is a watery substance. If so, how can we get it in the forest? We have to go underwater to find it. Read good fairy tales. Even stupid didn't deny it, so when Big said that, he immediately nodded along. The two immediately took the boat and rowed away. Rowing the boat for several days in a row but could not find any honeycomb. On the third day, when it began to get dark, the two of them parked their boat right on the riverbank to rest and regain their strength. The next morning, when they woke up, they saw a very large beehive appearing in the water. Big happily patted Nagoy's shoulder and said, "There, you see, I've never said anything wrong. If we can get this beehive, we will have enough to eat and sell it for a lot of money. It will be worth the effort we have spent the past few days searching for it. If you're better at diving than me, jump down and find it." Listening to Big, Knock took off his shirt, put it on the boat and jumped into the water. But Go kept diving until his eyes were bloodshot but still couldn't find anything. Seeing Go rise up empty-handed, Big pointed down at the water and said, "You look at bees so much. Why can't you get anything? The thing like bees is that they fly a lot. You have to dive every now and then." And the idiot dived again, searched underwater for a while and then emerged, but still came up empty-handed. Big saw that Knock couldn't find anything, so he thought for a long time, then suddenly shouted, "Because every time you rush up, you can't find anything. That kind of bee takes a lot of effort to find. I have a crutch here, I'll take it and pin you down there for a long time, so you can find it." This time Knock dived into the water again, while Big was on the boat holding a crutch to pin Nagoy down. Big kept trying to use force to press Knock for nearly half the time, then let go of the crutches, but Knock died without realizing it. Seeing Knock's body floating on the water, Big thought he was still alive, so he scolded loudly, "That greedy idiot, he ate a belly of honey down there and is now grinning." At that moment, a boat rowed by. The boatman saw a floating body and told Big, "That guy is dead, why don't you bury him? If you leave it like that, it will rot. Who can stand it?" Hearing people say that, Big realized that Go was really dead, so he took Knock's body to the beach to dig a hole and bury it. After burying Knock's body, he immediately returned to the boat. Suddenly he let out a fart. Again, he felt a rotten smell floating around. Remembering the boatman's words earlier, he thought to himself, "It really stinks. So I'm dead too, so it smells so bad. It can't be helped, I have to bury myself, otherwise how can others stand it?" Thinking so, he immediately returned to the beach and dug himself a hole and buried himself. However, when he had only picked up a few handfuls of mud to cover his head, he felt extremely stuffy and had difficulty breathing, so he stuck his head above again. When he saw a few boats passing by near the beach, Big shouted loudly, "Hey, that boat! Move a little further. If you touch someone's grave, it will stink and be unbearable." Hearing Big's words, the children who were feeding their buffaloes nearby couldn't hold back their laughter anymore. They immediately gathered together to carry a rattan whip onto the beach, near the place where Big buried himself, and whipped Big's body. They whipped back and shouted, "Come on, let's see if we're alive or dead." Because the children beat him so badly, Big jumped up from the grave and ran away with his head down. While running, Big suddenly thought he was dead. Then, thanks to the boy's whip, he beat him a few times and was brought back to life. Big immediately thought that the whip must have magical powers. And I kept thinking that it was a precious whip, and told myself I had to go back and ask for that whip. Big immediately ran back to the buffalo herding children and asked them to give him the rattan whip just now. But the children definitely refused to give it to him. Big had to beg them for a long time before they would give him the whip. When he got the whip, Buak was extremely happy, thinking that he now had magic to help revive the dead. So Big took his rattan whip and set out with the thought of going around the world to cure sentient beings. Bo walked a long way and saw a funeral ahead. Big made a very serious face and approached to ask to meet the mourner. People brought Big to meet the family's funeral director, and Big immediately boasted, "I have a magic whip that can revive the dead, and I have experimented with it and found it to be very effective. So, ladies and gentlemen, please open the coffin, then I will help the dead person come back to life and return home to do business." When they heard Big confidently declare like that, everyone in the funeral immediately stopped crying. After being silent, they simultaneously knelt down and bowed to Big, then chanted in unison, "If you pity me, if we can help my old man come back to life, we will also bite the straw and bite the grass to bow to you. We will never forget your grace in this life or the next." The funeral director immediately ordered the ghosts to beat them and put them on the ground on the side of the road. Everyone gathered together and pried the nails into the skyboard. After that, the body was stripped naked and placed face down on the board as Big ordered. Then at this moment, Big slowly approached, raised his rattan whip high and straightly swung it down at the corpse, shouting, "Let's see if it's alive or dead. Let's see if we live or die." Big kept whipping, but by the 10th whip, the corpse's flesh and skin had been scattered everywhere, but the old man still did not wake up at all. The children, grandchildren, and relatives of the corpse immediately rushed towards him, punching him and kicking him to vent his anger. He was beaten so much that he fell over and died. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.